Hello, everybody. Welcome back to ND Ice. I'm your host, David Trinka, alongside my co-host, as always, Lincoln Retzloff. And in today's episode, we have a special guest for the first time ever on the podcast, Ian Iverson. Ian, welcome on to the pod, buddy. How you doing?
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So why don't you tell the fans who don't know who you are? Some UND students might know who you are that are listening to this, but why don't you tell everybody that doesn't know who you are a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, funny enough, I'm from kind of the Atlanta metro area in Fayetteville, Georgia. That's where I grew up, and so everybody kind of wonders how'd you get introduced to North Dakota? Um, my dad is from Minot, and he went to the University 87 through 91, so he got to witness
Sweet.
the Hercus Circus, which was awesome for him in the old Ralph and that environment. And I grew up my whole life knowing the Sioux. I mean, my baby pictures are in a Sioux jersey and Sioux teddy bear next to me. So our family's been
Love
dedicated
it.
pretty much my entire life. My dad was at the 2016 championship game, and I just something felt right my senior year of high school, and I went to the university starting in 2022, and then graduated this past May. So I wasn't there for the most successful era that we've had, but certainly looking on the uprise. So
For sure, for sure. What was your major and what did you graduate in?
I was a finance major. I actually ran the investment fund for the university. This
Oh
was about
wow.
$2.5 million, which was great, and we did pretty exceptionally well in that. We went to New York in April as part of a competition. So 11 students with no chaperone. That goes about as well as you'd expect. But I think in that competition we placed 10th out of about 120 schools there. You know, they had some Ivy Leagues and some other really impressive schools, and so
Wow.
showed up there, did pretty well, and had a lot of fun. And yeah,
That's awesome, man. I've known you for like 2.5 years and I'm learning some new things. I didn't know you were from I kind of forgot that you were from Georgia. I didn't really realize that.
yeah.
Um, where are you at now after college?
I moved down to the Twin Cities. I work for Ameriprise as part of one of their private wealth franchises, and
Awesome.
funny enough, I figured I'd go to the Minnesota Boston College game this past Friday to check that out and
Sweet.
see how we line up to them. And so I hope I'll be of some assistance tonight.
Oh yeah, for sure, sure. Yeah, I remember seeing you were at that and that's pretty sweet. But awesome. Great to have you on, Ian. We're happy to have you on this episode. One that we're trying to make a little bit special because of the the upcoming weekend. So we'll get into that in a second, but let's get into our regular scheduled program, which would be the recap of the St. Thomas series. UND was able to defeat St. Thomas in their first ever matchup in program history on Friday night at the Ralph with a final score of 6-2. Pretty good showing. UND came out to a 5-0 lead, and St. Thomas scored two goals, one at the end of the second, one in the beginning of the third, and then UND was able to wrap it up with a goal by Max Swanson. I believe it was with like
Mhm.
7 seconds to go, something like that. Something really minuscule.
Yeah.
Um, kind of rubbed a little salt in the wound to him. And then UND, oddly enough, had a game on a Sunday. I get why they did it, but I don't know. Can't remember the last time UND played on a Sunday before. They went down to the now Grand Casino Arena, the G Spot, as we like to call it, and beat them 5-2. And I heard that it was a pretty good showing from the UND fans, as you can imagine. From someone I have, Lincoln, you know Zach Erickson, my video guy at Acme Tools, and does video for UND Insider. That's where I met him. He was actually down with the team and was letting me know that it was like 80% UND fans out of the 100, I would say, even though St. Thomas is literally right in town and had a student section. Ian, did you go to the game at all?
I did, and funny enough, I was sitting a couple rows up behind our bench, so I saw Zach down there with his camera and getting shots of the team. So good connection there.
Sweet.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like a school reunion. I showed up about an hour before the game to go get a bite and a beer at Casetas, and I did not see a lot of purple. Walked into the
Hmm.
game, and the entire section facing us is green, and so is our section, and it was a fun atmosphere. It certainly wasn't the
Good.
loudest that stadium has ever been, but it was definitely a fun experience for UND fans to get down to the cities and watch a game.
Yeah, for sure. It looked like a great showing on TV from when we were watching. Unfortunately, we didn't have what was it on Midco Sports 2 or CCHA.TV or
Mhm.
whatever. We had to illegally stream it, so that's what me and Sauce were up to. Um, yeah, I think a great showing, especially after UND started to pile them on there in the third period. It kind of, made me pretty happy to see everyone that was contributing. A lot of people from the top lines that we didn't see contribute the first night necessarily. Lincoln, what did you think of the weekend? You can start on either night. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I thought all things considered, they looked good. I really liked the way the fourth line played, which is something I feel like
Yeah,
we've
for
lacked
sure.
in years past, where our fourth lines have not been up to par. And now we have a fairly young fourth line who looks like they could be a first line on a lot of other teams. So really
Hmm.
happy with their play. The team's playing hard. They're converting. I'm sure we'll talk about it later. Special teams looked good. Our power play looks good. Both our units look really
Yeah,
good.
power play
And
looks
I
good for
think, don't
sure.
quote me on this, but I think we've had 11 different goal scorers so far, so which is
Hmm.
really good. So honestly, I was impressed. I like what we saw. Obviously, there's some things you can clean up, but it's early in the season, so that's kind of what you got to expect. But no, I was pretty surprised, and I thought we and St. Thomas is a good team, so I thought we
Hmm.
handled them well enough, and we responded well when they scored too.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit back onto what you were just saying. 11 different goal scorers. No one has scored twice yet this season. Everyone either has one goal or no goals. Um, if you get a team that can score, every line is contributing and scoring at a consistent rate. That's, I mean, something that I can think back to teams like the 2020 team, the 1920 team, or the 2021 team, and those teams are really good. They were contributing. Every line was contributing. Each line had a special role and was producing. So if you have all the lines producing at a decent rate, it doesn't have to be at an alarming rate, but where everyone's contributing night in and night out, you're going to be successful. Ian, what did you think? Did you have any notes?
I pretty similar to what you guys are saying. I mean, Dane Jackson said he wants to go back to how we used to play and who we are, and I think so far he's been delivering on that. I think you saw a lot more physicality relative to last year. I didn't see a lot of our players on the ice. I saw a lot of St. Thomas players on the ice.
Hmm.
And I think, like Lincoln said, there's some stuff to clean up. Certainly that second period, towards the end in the G spot, as you said, certainly looked a little sloppy at times. But I'm sure in that locker room, I was looking over at the bench and Dane and Smaby were looking pretty fired up, and they came back out in the third period and controlled the pace just like they did the rest of the game. So I think as long as they can clean up some of those things that early teams do, they can be a pretty big contender.
Sweet. I completely agree. I think that's a good take for sure. So, I don't know if we want to get into this a little bit, but is there anybody on your guys' radar that stood out over the weekend? I know we talked about having a lot of guys contributing, but is there one player that maybe you were really impressed with? Anyone that has one right now can go ahead and start. If not, is there anybody that didn't produce that you thought would, or you'd like to see a little bit more from?
I'll go. I thought Gibson Homer for the most part looked pretty good.
Yeah.
He if you look at the goals that were scored on him Friday night, what was it was a pretty bad breakaway that we gave up, which is our fault, and I believe a short our power play goal for St. Thomas.
Hmm.
So again, you can't really those are goals that are generally going to be given up by your goaltender. And then Saturday, I just thought he was solid. He had his composure. That once again one of St. Thomas's goal on the power play. Bennett Smolik doesn't have his stick. They
Yeah.
were just coming off a 5-on-3. He's gassed. Like there's not really a lot you can do about that. But I thought like just Homer was just sneaky good all week and quiet
Hmm.
all like just yeah good all weekend, quietly good. He did his job, which I think is
Stayed
exactly
calm
what
too.
that's what UND is looking for in a goalie. Just a goalie who can make big saves but can just be quietly good.
Hmm. Yeah, if he can stay calm for sure. Yeah, and like you said, Lincoln Bennett Zamolik, if he has his stick, he was out without his stick for I want to say like a minute, which
Mm-hmm.
is an abysmally long time to even be out on the ice. let alone without your stick. You're moving around a lot more, especially with your lower body, and you get exhausted out there. Not much you can do. If Samoa has his stick in that instance, he's able to clear that puck out and probably, I mean, I can pretty much say without a doubt that that goal doesn't go in if he has a stick. Ian, do you have anything?
Jack Kernan's a guy who I think has impressed me so far. We had all this talk about, oh, we have Cole Reshny and Keaton Verhoff and all these other, high-end draft picks. Jack Kernan's a guy that's come in. He's played on that fourth line with he's on the first line now, but he's been kind of in the lower lines working his way up, and he looks legit. He looks like a player that could be a point per game guy for us. And, if he keeps moving quick and getting on net like a lot of
Hmm.
our team is doing, there's gonna be a lot of goal scoring this year for everybody all around.
Yeah. Is he on the second line now or is he on the first line? I thought he was on the
He
second
played on the
line.
top line Sunday.
Really? Who did he
I
replace? Who was on the top
think
line?
I'm looking here.
Because it was, from what I remember it being, no, I didn't check the line chart, I guess, on Sunday, but in my head, I guess the line was James, Swanson, Zeller's first line, second line, Reshny,
He's with Reshny and Swanson.
Kernan,
Yep.
and Swanson.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's with Reshny and Swanson.
Okay. Which again, another great line, exactly what you're saying, Ian. When these guys came in, we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know, obviously, you don't know exactly how someone is going to adapt. Everyone adapts to the NCHC and UND hockey differently. I mean, you see a guy from the Atlantic last year, Carter Wilkie, did not adapt right away, like how you would hope. But Elias Rickwood has shown so far that he has adapted well, and that's really impressive. He's the guy I would say I was really impressed with. He's winning draws, which is something we really needed people to do because we lost five centermen last
Yeah.
year. Having him be able to go in there, win draws, and produce offensively on that top line and feed along with James and Swanson is huge. He's a great pickup from the portal that I was really impressed with. So for sure, really good. Anything else before we move on, fellas? Everyone good?
Yeah,
Sweet.
I mean, one maybe one more thing. Yeah, Reshny had a really good night in the dot too. I think he won like 15 draws and lost two. I don't know if I saw Schloss tweet that out. That's really good for a freshman. So that's another thing to keep note of. Those guys need to win faceoffs because winning faceoffs wins games. That's something we saw in Verhoff's goal when Verhoff scored his first goal. Rick would won the faceoff. So puck
Hmm.
possession's everything.
Absolute hammer of a shot too. Holy shit.
Hard
That
to believe
thing
that kid's
was a
17, right?
beam. Oh
Unreal,
yeah.
yeah.
I can't remember if that's the one that I wasn't in my seat for, but that was a fucking beamer for sure. Holy. Um, we'll get on to the main event, fellas. The main card, which would be this weekend's matchup, one that we've been waiting for 2 years now. Has it been 2 years since they played here? The fall
Right
of what would have
about.
been
Yeah,
2023.
sounds right.
Um, so number eight ranked North Dakota with a record of 2-0 versus number 13 Minnesota, who is 1-2-1. Only one win on the season so far for the Gophers, and one tie and two losses. We'll go over just a couple of quick stats. I'll just rattle off, and then we can really get into our expectations. The average age for Minnesota is 20.6 years old. Average height is 6 feet. Average weight is 187 pounds. The average age for UND is 20.8, so zero point 0.2 higher on the average age there. Obviously, UND is a very young team. Average height, 6'1", so an extra inch on them. And then average weight is 192 pounds, an extra 5 pounds on the Gophers. What does that tell you guys right away based on just the borderline, like written on paper statistics, average age, average height, average, uh, did I say weight yet? Average age, weight, and height. What does that kind of speak to you guys, if anything, right now?
I would say it's kind of hard to tell just based off of that. I will
Yeah,
say watching them, you can tell that they lost. I obviously caught we caught some of the
watching who?
BC game, the
Gophers? Okay.
Gophers. they're they're replacing a lot of scoring. They lost a lot of guys, which is a problem. And they're gonna put younger guys into big situations. So they're definitely one of those teams where I don't think they're a bad team. They're a top 20 team, no doubt in my opinion. But they kind of remind me of some of the UND teams we've had in the past few years where I think they're gonna lose a lot of games right away to teams like they lost to Tech. Like they're gonna lose that Minnesota team, they have a
Hmm.
high ceiling, high potential, but they're gonna lose a lot of games like that. So that's something I think UND needs to exploit is just kind of I don't know, just that this isn't a refurbished Minnesota team. It's going to take them some time. And, you could say maybe the same about UND, but UND needs to take advantage of Minnesota just being not at their complete form right now.
I agree. Ian, you got anything right away, or you want to wait to get expectations? Actually, let's
I
just go
mean,
into what you kind of,
yeah,
yeah, what you're gonna say, and then also what you kind of noticed at the UND versus or not UND, Minnesota versus Boston College game. What you noticed about Minnesota as you're the only one that's seen them live so far,
yeah. I mean,
in person, I
first and
should say.
foremost, I would say what could be the highlighting difference of this series is kind of the difference in conference. You have the Big Ten, who's becoming kind of like the Hockey East in this way, where they're a lot of skill guys. They're smaller, they're not as physical, and they like to play offense. And you have the NCHC, who's becoming. I mean, you look at some of the D units around our conference, and everybody looks loaded. I mean, you have the couple
Hmm.
exceptions, like St. Cloud and Miami, who may struggle, but a lot of these top teams, you have Western Michigan, you have North Dakota, you have Denver. A lot of these teams are going to be very defensive, very physical. I think that's what we're showing so far. I think we're showing that we want to be this physical team who wants to bully people around. And with this Minnesota team, if they don't step it up a little bit, this could get ugly for them.
For sure, for sure. Yeah. Um, yeah, what did you like notice mostly about just the Gophers? Like they were just they not I mean from what I saw on TV, they didn't look like they were playing very physical, and it looked like they were getting
Not at
kind of
all.
bodied by a Boston College team that you wouldn't really think would be bodying a lot of guys. They kind of play a similar, like you said, a similar fast-paced skill style that teams in the Big Ten do.
Yeah, and it's fascinating because of how much height the Gophers have. I mean, you look at their team on the ice, you have Javon Moore, you have their defenseman, I don't remember his name, but he's 6'6" or 6'7".
Mm-hmm.
You have a
Six
lot of
seven.
these guys that are, yeah, you have a lot of these freshmen that are coming in that are big boys, but they just don't know how to use their body
They
yet.
don't play big.
And no, not at all. You saw that with Michigan Tech, who, quite frankly, in that second game embarrassed them. I mean, it was 13 shots on goal against Michigan Tech the entire game. That's not a place you want to be as Minnesota. Um, and then you have Boston College, who comes in, and it even looked like for a majority of the game, Boston College was pushing this Minnesota team around.
Hmm.
Quite frankly, if Boston College is doing that to you, I can't imagine what a team like North Dakota is going to do to you. When St. Thomas looked like a pretty gritty team, and we, quite frankly, bullied them around for 50 out of the 60 minutes both nights.
Hmm.
We'll see what happens. I think if they can play physical and they can use their speed to their advantage, they're a dangerous team. They definitely showed spurts where they could be a top 10 team. But the problem is, do they have that identity yet?
For sure. Great takes from you. So we'll get into the expectations for the Minnesota series. Uh, Ian, you added on here that UND has won 7 of the last 10 matchups between UND and Minnesota. Minnesota, of course, winning. I want to say they won the overtime game. Matthew Nyes went around Chris Jandrick and put it home in the OT on the Friday night in Minnesota in the fall of 2022. And then obviously Minnesota's won 4-0, I think, 2 years
Yep.
ago on the Friday night.
Yep.
And then Minnesota beat us in the Ralph the year prior to the fall of 2022 on I want to say the Friday night that year too, right? Is that right? Is it all Friday wins
Sounds
for the
right. Yeah.
Gophers?
Yeah.
And then obviously played them and bullied them in 2019. I was at that one. I haven't missed a UND Gopher live game since I went, well, I up to 2017, but I did miss the one in Vegas. That was the only one I missed. So, um, the middle stat, we'll say the middle stat year when he couldn't do the pull up. He was a freshman that year, and they were making fun of him. I think that was the fall of 2017. That was the only year he was playing there. Um, sorry, a little bit on a tangent. I'm sure you guys didn't miss a lot of games either, but um, yeah. So let's get into the expectations for the Minnesota series. Obviously, the arena is going to be freaking packed. I mean, I am juiced right now. I struggled to focus on my work today, even just thinking about it. Which obviously you don't want to see. You want to be working, but uh, huge weekend. We've been waiting 2 years for this. It's always a highly anticipated matchup. In my opinion, and I think your guys' opinions, the best rivalry in college hockey, one of the best in sports, goes back 100 years. Just blood, sweat, and tears into both sides of this rivalry. And it's a shame that they're not in the WCHA anymore, um, playing on a regular basis, even in playoff time. The playoff implications back in the day were incredible. It definitely added to the fury. Um, Going to be a packed building. Tickets were super expensive. I think even the student tickets that cost $15 a ticket. All right, were they 25 for the Gopher series? Didn't they add more money
Yeah,
for that one?
25, I think.
They're going, I mean, I don't there's not a day that
150
goes by
bucks, I
where
think.
I don't see it on people's stories. They're selling their tickets for 100, $150 or your best offer or whatever. And then the regular admission seats are what? They're going for multiple hundreds of dollars. I remember seeing 500, even the thousands of dollars for a ticket. So there's a lot of people that want to be here for this. I know in past years there's this one little section. If you're in the student section, so you're on what would it be? The north side of the rink, or would it be west side? West side of the rink. I'm trying to think of what the way that it's facing. You go, if you're in the student section, you look up to your top left. There's a little section, the back left of all the fans whenever there's a road series. You can look up to your back left, and there's a section usually of a decent amount of fans. That's usually the only section that's full, especially in the Gopher games. So it's going to be a lot of green, black, and white. Going to be a great atmosphere. I hope they have a really electric intro video. I know when they played in like 2017, they had this sick countdown video. It was it was electric. Um, yeah, expectations, fellas. What do you expect to see? Who do you expect to hear from? What are the expectations? Whoever wants to start can go.
Go ahead, Ian.
I think our depth is going to be on display. You saw that fourth line who tore it up against St. Thomas, and St. Thomas is by no means a bad team. Like we've said, they're gritty, physical. I mean, they
Mm-hmm.
pushed us around for about 10 minutes in that second period there.
They're ranked
And
too.
I think that depth is going to be on display. I think if we start hitting hard, like I hope we do, we're going to tire that team out. I mean, it's Minnesota's a very young team, I would say, in some ways, very inexperienced together. And we're going to wear them out. I mean, the NCHC is kind of a gauntlet, and this is a statement game saying, hey, we're going to come in and sweep our biggest rival in our own barn, after replacing half our coaching staff and more than half our roster. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to say, hey, let's reignite this. Let's put the boot to them and move on and get into conference play. So I think this could be a great opportunity for a statement weekend.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just like to think there's no I knowing Dane Jackson, what he's probably telling his guys right now in the locker room, telling the boys. I mean, I don't know how they don't. They already look, they've already, like I said, we have a very small sample size to go off. The team already looks, I feel like they've came out and played very well already. But Dane Jackson is going to have these boys fired up. We've got, and now I don't know. Minnesota has no CHL players on their team. They didn't go that route this year. We've got some WHL guys. This is probably I think this is going to be their first time for a lot of those guys, and even like our new USHL tradition playing an arena as big as the Ralph and as loud as it's going to be. They're going to be like, holy shit! Like they're going to be. I think they're going to be juiced up. And if UND can come out and score first both nights, and their D can continue to play how they've been playing, homework can play good, and we can maybe stay out of the box a little more. I mean, I just knowing it how, like you said, Ian, how inexperienced this Minnesota team is right now, how they're kind of still finding themselves. I just really don't see a reason why UND I think this is their best chance to sweep in the last few years, at least in my opinion. So
Absolutely.
I just see no reason why UND wouldn't come out. And I'm Dane Jackson probably saying the same thing right now. There's no reason why we shouldn't win 2 games this weekend.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Yeah, I think a lot of what you guys said is spot on, where Minnesota was kind of clear the last week whenever they were. I think we watched one of the games they played Tech and one of the games they played Boston College. They didn't play the style of hockey that you need to play to beat teams in the NCHC. You got to play hard, you got to play physical. Not that they don't play hard, but I mean, they don't go and finish their checks to try and wear you down. That's one thing that North Dakota really does well. And if you let them body you all night long, they're gonna fucking tire the shit out of you. And it's amazing. Like people who watch hockey don't understand how tiring hitting makes you just getting hit. And even if it's like a simple rub out on the boards, it any juice, any juice that you had there, speed, gone. It's like stopping and moving in a different direction. You have to start again. It is draining. You got to keep going on top of the bruises and everything. They're gonna tire the shit out of you. I mean, they're gonna go belt to ass. And I think, like you said, Lincoln, this is the best chance UNE's had in a long time to sweep. I think this is the best chance. I think a lot of I don't I'm not going to say this with 100% confidence, but I think that this matchup is in a way pretty uh similar to the matchup in the fall of 2019 where UND is very deep. They're physical. Maybe they're not as old as that team was. That team was pretty old. Not pretty old, but they were decently old. Um, Depth, Minnesota, really young. They were really young that year. That's the team that had a bunch of the freshmen, the underclassmen that ended up being upperclassmen for that 2023 run for them. That was magical. I mean, they were so deep that year. Um, I think this matchup this weekend is pretty similar to that one, except for it's in the Ralph. So that's obviously going to give UND a little bit more momentum going into this weekend. Is that they're at home. I think as long as UND doesn't lose on Friday, there's no way that they're going to lose on Saturday. UND doesn't lose on Saturdays against the Gophers. Um, yeah, I think they're going to go belt to ass. I think, like you said, Lincoln, Dane Jackson, he knows this rivalry. He's played in it. Matt's maybe he's played in this rivalry. Dylan Simpson, he's played in this rivalry. Bryn Chiswick, I mean, he won't be on the bench, but he's played in this rivalry too. Um, a little bit. Obviously, he's more of the NCHC than the WCHA days. Not that this matters a ton, but Bob Motzko didn't play for the Gophers. He doesn't. I don't. I mean, he gets it a little bit because he's coached the Gophers through it, and he's coached St. Cloud State through this rivalry a little bit. But it's a little bit different when it's St. Cloud State and UND. I know Bob Motzko was the assistant coach for Minnesota in the early 2000s. So he gets it a little bit, but from a player's perspective, he doesn't get it like the way that UND coaches are going to be preaching it all week long. And I don't know if this really matters a ton, but in my opinion, from what I've seen, the rivalry, the hatred between UND and Minnesota, or from UND's perspective, has never dwindled at all. We hate the Gophers no matter what. We that's our number one all the time. And I think that the Gophers in recent years, now that they've shifted away, but I think they gave a little bit more attention to Wisconsin. And I think from their coaching staff perspective and maybe their player perspective, I don't think a lot of their players understand what it is and what it means. And I think that they don't care about it as much, and for lack of a better term, they don't think about it. They don't have like I don't know the will to want to just fucking kill you on the ice. You know what I mean? I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but in my opinion, from what I've seen, I don't think the Gophers take this rivalry as seriously as UND does anymore. Um, Obviously, I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see a really gritty battle. I'd love to see some fights out there. There's going to be some. And these two teams are going to play each other over the course of the next 4 years. All right, I don't know if you want to call it three because it's this year, next year, year after that, year after that. So I guess including this year, it's four. Hopefully that these teams can reignite that rivalry that was off for a break last year. Because like we said before, both of these teams are super young, so most of the team has not played in this rivalry yet. Most of either team has not played yet in this rivalry. I really hope that they pick it up really fast, and I hope it's a lot of fun. So we'll move on from the expectations. We'll do before we do score predictions. I don't know, Lincoln, did you want to go into this little special teams blip or no?
Yeah, sure, might as well. I just looked it up right now. And again, you really got to take everything when we talk about teams' performance and even statistics right now. You kind of have to take everything with a grain of salt because the sample
Mm-hmm.
size is so small. But UND does have the number one power play in the country right now, at 66%.
66.6.
So once again, if UND wants to win this game, they need to draw penalties and they need to score on the power play. Which once this is impressive for UND too because we replaced everyone on our power play except Max Swanson
Mm-hmm.
and we fired Carl Gehring. So to be the number one team again, not a lot of sample size, but to still be 66% right now is pretty impressive. And then my big thing is they need to stay out of the box because Minnesota does have goal scorers. They do have talent. They
Mm-hmm.
have some
They have
really good
some really
guys
good
who
talent.
have played here at the Ralph before, who have scored at the Ralph before. And if we give them any opportunities to score at the Ralph, they're going to score here. So stay out of the box, make sure we're strong in the D zone. And I don't, I think if UND, I think UND will be,
Mm-hmm.
has the best chance of beating Minnesota if they beat them in a just clean 5-on-5, 60 minutes.
For sure. Yeah, for one thing you got to think about is obviously this rivalry is going to bring in a lot of scrums, a lot of grit. You got to be sure to stay disciplined and not take stupid penalties. It's one thing that if UNE is able to do, just stay out of the box. And this is a series that can prepare you down the road to stay disciplined in heated moments. When you play a team like Denver or Duluth or St. Cloud State, or even Omaha is, one that's really starting to rile up. Just overall, it can prepare you down the road when in situations that are high intensity where you need to stay disciplined. So, Ian, did you have anything for the special teams?
Yeah, I mean, I would say their penalty kill also looks much, much better than it did last year. We had one of the worst penalty kills in the entire nation. And they look a lot better. I think physicality has a lot to do with it. And you just have a big goalie as well. I think my thing is, and I hope that the coaches are preaching that in this, week leading up. If you're going to take a penalty, at least make it mean something. I think we saw a
Sure.
little bit of that in the St. Thomas game where we just took these sloppy penalties that were unnecessary. If you're going to take a penalty, at least, knock the wind out of them. At least, put that
Hmm.
guy down for a little bit. And so I don't mind if we take a couple penalties like that set the tone. I do care if we, give them chances to quiet down their alpha. I think it's going to be a much closer game than anticipated if we give the Gophers a chance to quiet down their alpha.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. For sure. So, with that being said, we'll get into our picks to click. Ian, since you're a little new to the pod here, that just means a player that you think is going to perform if you have one. Yeah, player that you think is going to click. It could be a line even if you wanted. Doesn't matter. Just a pick to click. Lincoln, you got one right now, or you need a couple seconds here?
I'm gonna need a couple seconds.
All right. Ian, you got one, or
I
you want
think
me to go?
yeah, I would say two that kind of come to mind is Cade Littler. I think he's a guy that's, flourished from his freshman year into his sophomore year. He's starting to play a lot more with his body. He looks a lot more
Big
confident
kid.
out there.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
he's a big kid. I mean, you look at Keaton Vierhoff too. We have a lot of gritty guys that are pretty up there in size, close to what Tyler Clevin was, and I want to see them get out there, be gritty, and I also want to see them, get in front of the net. That's what we did so well for decades, is just crash the net, get gritty goals.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think between, somebody like a Cade Littler, somebody like a Ellis Rickwood, some of these grittier guys that can get in front of the net and really cause chaos, I think that's where we win this series.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, I think Kay Littler is definitely a great pick to click. I mean, he's got the frame to be physical. He's got the work ethic to skate hard and beat guys on pucks. And then obviously he can put it away too. He's one of the leading scorers on the team. He's tied for first with four other guys with 3 points right now, a goal and 2 assists. So obviously, I mean, that fourth line, if they can keep rolling, That's all you can hope for. Besides, I mean, obviously the other lines rolling as well, but that fourth line very important if you can get the depth to contribute on the score sheet. Lincoln, what do you got?
I'm actually gonna give us two guys here. They're both on the same line. First one, Anthony Mangini. He plays strong, physical. He grew
Hmm.
up a Sioux fan. He went to go for games. He knows what this rivalry means. That dude is gonna be throwing his body around,
Hmm.
and I would really like to see him. And then my second guy, I really want to see all of Ollie Josephson. I think that line is to win this series with Strindon. That line is going to need to play very well this weekend. If they can break out and just have a day of just
Right,
scoring, blah blah blah, just hard defense, be a good third line, I think UND will be set up for success.
right. Yeah, Strinden, like you said, another guy who has lived through this rivalry, grew up in Fargo, and obviously went to games. There's a couple guys that are in the similar boat. Will Zellers, he grew up in the cities and grew up a Sioux fan, wanting to play for this team and wear this jersey. And then obviously, like you said, Anthony Mangini. Uh, he won't play, but Zach Sandy also, and then even Sam Larilla probably. I mean, he's from Moorhead, so he gets it to an extent. And I don't. The weird thing about Minnesota is those kids in Minnesota. They recruit so heavily around the cities area. Get great talent. I'm actually kind of interested to know how many of them are passionate Gopher fans or grew up in Gopher fans. I mean, I know obviously in the old days when you were in Minnesota growing up, you wanted to play for the Gophers. That was when they recruited strictly in Minnesota, and they had magical teams full of just Minnesotans. They were the Minnesota's team. I'd say my pick to click though, I'm really high on Jack Kernan. I think he's great. He can put the puck away. Obviously, he stayed off the score sheet this weekend, or last weekend, but I just think that line's good and they're destined to produce. Yeah, I think Jack Kernan's really good. And then yeah, I think Strinden would be good too. Or and Mangini. I think all of your guys' picks were really good. So obviously all you can hope for is everyone plays a good game and stays healthy throughout the whole game. And let's have some fucking fun, eh? Let's have a good series. We'll go into our score predictions. I'll start with actually, Ian, we'll do it this way. Ian, you give your Friday, Lincoln Friday. I'll give my Friday and my Saturday, and then we'll go Lincoln Saturday and Ian Saturday. We'll go snake draft.
Yeah, I mean, Friday's going to be interesting, right? I think it comes to how we set the tone and how early we set that tone. I think we get out to an early lead. I think, we're a little sloppy in some of the things we do with the penalties and a little bit of the passing. I think we let the Gophers back in. I think it's a pretty tight game. I think we come out on top, though. I'm going, I would say 3-2.
3-2.
I'll go I'll go 4-3. I'll go yeah, one more. Yeah, I think it is going to be more sloppy. I think more goals are going to be given up. But with knowing how good UND's defense is, I don't think if giving up more goals means you only give up 3 goals, UND needs to be able to score four. And I think they've shown that they can do that. So Friday night
Hmm.
4-3. Yep.
Yeah, that's a great pick. I'm gonna go 4-2. I think, like you said, Ian, I don't know if we'll come out first, but I'd like to think we do. I just think that UND gets an empty net goal at some point, and I don't
Yeah.
see the Gophers scoring more than 2 goals. I They're a talented roster, but if we can beat them up and Gibson and we can limit scoring chances and rebounds in front of the net, I think Gibson is a guy who can make the first save 95% of the time. And as long as you eliminate the rebounds in front of the net and dish the puck away from the house, that UNE will be successful. Obviously, there'll probably be a power play at some point for the Gophers, and they got a lot of talent. So I would say they get a power play goal, but I think UND edges them out with an empty net goal on Friday. Saturday, I think UND comes out even harder, and I think that they would win. I'm going to say 5-2. I think that they get an extra one somewhere in there. Not that it's necessarily an empty net goal or not, but I think that I think they continue to limit the opposition to 2 goals a night.
Hmm.
I don't think it'd be 5-2.
I if we win Friday, I would suspect Minnesota's gonna come out harder. I'm gonna go 5-4 UND in overtime. I think if UND wins Friday, they're gonna come out and play. They're gonna come out to score, and I think UND's gonna have to match it on the score sheet too. So I'm going 5-4 overtime, something fun, a good thriller, high scoring game.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
I think I'm on the opposite end. I think, no matter how close the Friday night game is, I think those guys coming back on Saturday, Minnesota's going to be worn out. I think we show who we are. We bully them around a bit on Friday. Maybe we win, maybe we don't. I think it might be a piss pumping on Saturday. I think you have a crowd that's going to be even more fired up. I think you have Dane Jackson, win or lose, is like, let's go finish the fucking job. And I think
Hmm.
they win 6-1. I think Gophers get nothing going
Holy
on offense. You
shit.
look at you look at their Saturday night against Michigan Tech and then their Friday night against Boston College. They had less than 20 shots and got dominated. And they just didn't look like they had the will or the physicality to be out there. So I think it's dangerous. It could be a lot closer, but I think those guys come in. You have Javon Moore, you have all these freshmen that are very talented, but they haven't seen anything like that yet. And I think they all come out worn out and we just blow them over.
Hmm. Yeah, 6-1. That's definitely a bold prediction for sure. I hope you're right by all
They
means.
could be kind of like what UND what did UND beat was it BU last year 6-1 or 2?
Like seven
Yeah,
to
I want to,
two.
Yeah, it
yeah.
could be. I could see that. That's very plausible. Yeah, I agree.
Well, that was the Friday night though,
That was the
even.
Friday night, yeah. But then again, yeah, with Dane Jackson, what's like Ian kind of just said, like it could
Yeah.
be same mentality. Like it's not going to be, oh, we won Friday, let's slow down. No, they're going to send a message to the entire nation, the Big Ten, to the Gophers, to everyone. So that's a good prediction. I like that.
Yeah, going off of what you just said, Lincoln, I think that this UND team has a lot to prove still. Uh, I think, I mean, obviously you want to, it's like you said before, Lincoln, it's a small sample size, but I think that what we've seen this offseason and the first couple games of this UND team is pretty special. And you can obviously say that every year, but when you're at Joe Black's and you're going to the bathroom and the team is in the bathroom and they're talking to each other, talking to people, and they're just like, dude, this team is just so deep. Like we're so good. Like we're just so deep. This team is so deep. Like I mean, they're not wrong. This team is really deep if they can continue to contribute um if they can continue to score. I'm really happy with this team so far. Obviously, 2-0 start. Um, I think it's going to be belt to ass this weekend. I hope I'm right.
Yeah,
I hope we're not
I
wrong
hope
here. I
so.
really don't want to get swept by the Gophers at home. I don't see that happening, obviously. We don't get swept at home, not by the Gophers anyway. And if we do lose, it's going to be on Friday. It's
Yeah,
going to happen.
I
We
think
don't
so.
lose I don't think we're going to lose on Saturday. So, any other things before we get in the fun segment here, fellas?
Can only imagine
Lincoln.
the pictures Dane is showing in that locker room this week. I saw him on a podcast, I think, with Ozzy and Jordan Schmaltz. And he's just talking about the pictures he shows every week, before the boys go out about the penalty kills, and it's just some nails picture. And my Lord, we have plenty of those. I mean, I just saw Facebook today, and it was about 20 pictures of us just throwing some gopher guy over the
Hmm.
boards. And I can only imagine. I mean, even Lamoureux, he lived the rivalry. He experienced, the infamous Blake Wheeler goal that a lot of Gopher fans hold on to. And so I
Hmm.
think that entire locker room is business as
Yeah.
usual this week, and I think they're fired up.
Yeah, for sure. Lincoln, you got anything there?
Nothing else. This is gonna sound a little weird because we were just talking about it. I will say if UND does lose, I could see it being one of those things. We've scored a lot recently. I could see it being where UND just gets, if they do lose, it'd be like a 2-0 game where they get shut out. Like I don't think that's gonna happen. But again, like I said, we're a young developing team. Eventually you're gonna have a game where scoring dries up. Now I don't
Hmm.
want that to happen this weekend, but if UND were to lose a game, that's how I would imagine it would go. They'd probably score under a goal.
Yeah. Well, that's a weird thing too, is the year that we did get shut out by the Gophers was 2 years ago when we played them here with that really good 2023-24 roster.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
I mean, that team was pretty good too, and we didn't get shut out the years prior with teams that were arguably kind of shitty. So,
Hmm.
yeah, a good take there for sure. One other thing, like you said, Ian, the all the photos you're starting to see surface on Instagram or Facebook, the conversations on social media. Um, Bryn Chiswick posting on UND Recruit
Yeah,
Instagram. I just
man.
confirmed. I got confirmed that today that is Bryn Chiswick, and never a caption, but on his posts he just posts whatever he wants, and um, yeah, he's got the UND. It looks like a gopher sandwich on
Yeah.
Instagram. Check it out on Instagram if anyone's curious about what picture we're talking about. So we'll get into a little bit of a fun segment, uh, little special thing we're gonna do it today. Since obviously UND hockey is deeply enrooted in all of us, we have a deep memory of all the times UND and Minnesota have faced off against each other. I am a little bit older than the both of you, so I probably maybe remember a little bit more naturally from games that aren't reruns or anything like that. Doesn't matter, but um, let's go into. Should we do okay? Should we do favorite or least favorite first? What do you guys think?
Your least favorite.
Okay.
I think we're
I
all gonna
feel
have
like
a
we
pretty
should.
similar
Yeah, I feel like
answer.
Yeah.
this one's only going to be like 2 moments. I feel like, but least favorite Minnesota versus UND hockey moment of all time, in your opinion. Who wants to go first?
I think Ian can probably speak for me, so you go ahead, Ian.
I mean, it's got to be the 2014 Frozen Four, right? You have
Yep.
teams who haven't
Hmm.
played in 2 years, and they're meeting in the
Hmm.
Frozen Four. That's one of the most consequential games for us ever, facing them in the playoffs. Besides the Herb Brooks championship right before the Miracle
Yeah.
season. So, man, that's just a tough one to lose. Every time you try to shit talk a Gopher fan, they pull up that little GIF on Instagram, and you're just like, well,
Hmm.
I can't say much about
Yeah.
that. That's it's a tough one. I mean, there's been plenty of great memories either way, and that's what makes it such a great series is each team has their own iconic moments.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely helped when the Gophers lost to a school at the time I hadn't heard of.
Union. Yeah,
Union in
thank God. Oh my
2014,
gosh.
7-4. They got belted that game. Lincoln, did you want to add to that? I assume yours is the same one.
It's yeah, you guys just hit it on the head, and yeah, I was so. I mean, Gopher fans can chirp all they want online, but they lost to Union the next day, so like you always got to keep that in the back of your head.
Hmm.
They lost the one that mattered. So
Yeah, for sure. And that Gopher team was really good, and UND was on a Cinderella run that year. Another one of those hackstall teams that hadn't made it, had a poor start and was able to make the tournament as a 4 seed, beat Wisconsin in the first round, beat Ferris State, a team that had been in the Frozen Four 2 years prior in 2012 in overtime, and then make it against Minnesota, who it was 0-0 through two periods, obviously. Uh, I want to say, I don't know if it was Nate Warning that scored that first goal. That might be a little early. I don't know if he was around on the team yet, but um, they came out, and then even when that one went in as a kid, and I grew up in central Minnesota where all the kids are St. Cloud State or Gopher fans, so there's a lot riding on this for me, especially going on a Thursday night going to school the next day. Um, where you're a good team. The Gophers are a good team, and St. Cloud State isn't really that. I mean, they were a good team, but they lost, and all the St. Cloud State fans are cheering for the Gopher fans, or the Gophers. I mean, when you're a kid anyway, um, and you're just thinking, "Fuck, dude, this game's been 0-0 all game long, and we're down now with under 10 minutes to go. We're so fucking done." And then Connor Garter throws one off the side of the goalie and bats it back in off the back of the goalie, Adam Wilcox, and ties it up literally like the next fucking play. And then you're sitting on the couch already starting to sob, and your mom's just like, "Dude, we scored." And then you're just jumping up and you're fucking fine. And then obviously we go on the power play with what, like a minute left, and then we don't have to talk about what happened, but
Not a
we
good
don't have to talk
memory.
about it.
yeah,
The
enough of that.
ref was pretty hype on the goal line there. Um, Yeah, point six. That's something you'll definitely see a lot in the comments whenever you're in an argument with you see an argument between a UND fan and a Gopher fan. That one was a really tough one. I am going to bring up a different one just because, um, just to bring in a little bit extra. Well, I'm going to go with, uh, I'm going to say this one first, but I want to make sure I don't have a better one here. Yeah, let's just fucking roll with it, eh? Let's do 2007 WCHA Final Five Championship in the Xfinity Center. Back when the Final Five drew in the entire rink, and it was hard to get tickets. Minnesota UND overtime WCHA championship. Um, Huge game, and the Gophers they clear it down, and Blake Wheeler's trying to get around the defender and just slides and tries to slap the puck to prevent icing, and it goes right underneath the glove of JP Lamb, who's on the coaching staff now. But that one definitely stirred up a lot of feelings in my household. I was always taught never to do the jersey pop after that, because obviously the celebration was, he's going down the rink, flashing the jersey. And my mom was like, never, never do that. You never pop your jersey or anything like that. That is awful. But yeah, so I'm gonna go with that one. That one obviously stunk. I don't remember it as much as I don't remember as much as that 2014 one, but um, my parents, my once that goal went in, my dad told me he's like with my mom, and my dad was like, "All right, let's go." Immediately when they scored that goal, he's like, "Let's get the fuck out of here. I don't want to be here for this." So they just dipped out, obviously. But we'll get into the favorite moment in Minnesota UND hockey history. I'll let you guys go first because I'll just fill in some other moment that I think is pretty good.
Go ahead, Ian.
I think it's kind of a collage, and it's what you look forward to in this series. It's the grits, the physicality. I think, the first thing that comes to mind that every time I see it, it just fires me up is the Weir's corner. I think 2010 and 2011 or 11 and 12.
Hmm.
But,
I think it's
we demolish a guy in
2010.
the corner both
Wait, which
years in a
one?
row. That's
Brad
rough.
Malone or Matt
Oh,
Fratton?
both.
Matt
Both of them are
Fratton was
equally.
March of 2010, and Brad Malone was
Yep, he was the year
2011,
after.
probably. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep. I have both of them. I mean, there's so, that is what we have been. We have been that team that's just in your face. We're willing to kill you and go to the box for it. And another thing, I mean, you look at all the handshake lines. You look at 2007, that game overtime it's a tie, and
Hmm.
Oshie and all those guys go into the handshake line, and all of a sudden it's oblivion on the ice, and everybody's fighting. The coaches are yelling
And
at each
blood.
other about to go. Yeah,
Yeah.
just moments like that. I think I don't have a favorite moment per se. It's just all the things that fire you up before the games. I mean,
Hmm.
every single time I see that pop up on Instagram, I'm like, let's go. I can't wait to play them 300 days from now.
Someone cue heavy metal hockey. Like, put that on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a definitely those moments are great for sure. Lincoln, what do you got, buddy?
Yeah, I got a few of them. I think it was the first time I remember going to a Gopher game. I want to say it was in like 2017, maybe. I don't remember who it was. One of the Gopher players got kicked out, and I just remember just whenever when someone gets kicked out, it's pretty electric. But when a Gopher
Hmm.
player gets kicked out, the whole arena just everyone starts waving goodbye. So I remember
Yeah,
that. Up next, I was at the Vegas game in 2018. That was really cool.
I bet.
Very fun venue. All UND fans, everyone was fired up. And then most recently, I would probably say in Mariucci, Mark Senden, overtime.
Hmm.
That was
That one
awesome.
was electric.
Earlier in
Me
the
and
game,
you,
the
you and I
kid
were there
like
for,
threw
to
his
that
stick in
together.
the stands. We threw it. One of our fans threw it back. That
Hmm.
was oh man, that game was awesome. I just feel like every game, like that's what makes the series so good. There's never a bad game. Like they're all good. They're all memorable, and that's why
Hmm.
I can't wait for Friday. It's gonna be unbelievable.
Yeah, great. Those ones are great too. I'm happy that you guys are actually doing more than one. I think that's more relatable to the rest of us. I'm gonna go through a couple that I'm surprised you guys didn't say. Obviously 2012 in the X, the WCHA Final Five semifinal game, Minnesota, the heavily favored team, number one in the WCHA that year. And UND had struggled with injuries all year long, and were struggling with injuries. And that they had I can't remember if it was a defenseman that was playing forward or a forward that was playing defenseman. Um, but UND down 3-0 midway through the second period. Dave Haxtell calls a timeout, and UND just swoops back with the six unanswered goals. Look that one up on YouTube if you guys are curious about it. There's the full game on YouTube, I believe, by Blackheart. Make sure to go watch it if you're interested. If I'm bored, I literally just throw on Unity games sometimes in the background. Great game. I remember watching it on TV when I was a kid. That one was, I mean, we had tickets to go, but my dad didn't want to go because he didn't want to have to deal with the Gopher fans because he thought we were going to lose. So definitely missed opportunity there, but I still love you, Dad. I'm also gonna go with one that none of us remember seeing in person, but one that I have watched on YouTube a couple times, and that's 2005 Frozen Four, UND, Minnesota. Um, we were just able to. I mean, I'm not gonna go too far into it because I don't remember it super well. Obviously, I didn't watch it live, but you guys can go watch that one on YouTube as well. 4-2 final. UND is able to propel themselves over the Gophers in the national semifinal and get and lose to Denver in the 2005 national championship. But that one I think is a great moment as well. Um, Trying to think of another one here. Let's see. I
Even if
can't.
it's not a UND Minnesota one, it's hard to forget '06 in the Ralph regionals
Oh
when Holy
yeah,
Cross gets it done in
Holy
overtime. My
Cross,
dad was
Minnesota.
at that game,
My dad was at that one
and
too.
yeah, it's hard. My dad to this day is like, that's probably, one of the loudest, if not the loudest I've ever heard the Ralph. And
I bet, dude.
that's a tough one to forget. I hope they do the video montage to them, before the game starts
Hmm.
and poke fun at some Gopher fans a little bit.
Yeah, that was a hell of a game. Uh, One of the ones I was at. It was the first time I had been in Mariucci in, I want to say, 7 years. I had been in Mariucci when I was in like the fourth grade, but then I mean, we went in 2019, and I had, this is propel myself to my senior year of high school, and has been forever since we played there. And you're just anxious to get in there and watch. And then Jordan Calgucci comes out and scores the first goal going far side on, I want to say, Justin LaFontaine.
Mhm.
Uh, the rink exploded. I mean, it was unreal. UND would go on to go belt to ass and win 9-3. That was one of the most hilarious moments for me as a UND fan going in there thinking it was going to be a close game. And then I had never, ever seen UND beat the Gophers by that much before. I mean, that was a slaughter for sure.
Is
Um,
that Thanksgiving Day too?
Yeah.
I want to say it was, yeah.
Hmm.
A lot to be thankful for us that day, I suppose.
For sure. Oh, absolutely. Um, Another bad moment I'd say is when we lost to Minnesota in the regional final in 2012 after winning. Oh, yes, thank you. Oh, I've reminded myself. 2007 regional final in Denver, Colorado. UND beat, I want to say, Michigan to get there. Minnesota beat Air Force, and we played a close game, and Chris Porter wraps it around and tucks it on, I want to say, Jeff Frazee, and UNE goes berserk and makes to their second straight Frozen or third straight Frozen Four. And the beautiful black unis, the Nike
Hmm.
Swift unis with the nice little green
Ugh.
stripe down the arm. God, those jerseys are beautiful. I think that one's great. I enjoy watching that moment on YouTube quite a bit as well. But I think that's gonna wrap up the moments there. And if anyone has any little anything to interject there before we move on, anything at all? All right, let's do. I guess I don't know if we want to do this. Let's just do it. Best UNE versus Minnesota game of all time in terms of competitiveness, in terms of watchability, and overall value. Doesn't matter if UND won or not. Just one that offered a lot and was just glued to the screen the entire time. Anyone that comes to mind, fellas.
We already kind of said it, but even though UND lost the .6 game,
That was
Frozen
a good one.
Four, uh, one that I was alive and can remember. That was probably one of the first ones I do remember. I was pretty young. I would have been maybe 10 years old then, 9 or 10. So I
Hmm.
just remember being in pain afterwards, but that was a competitive game to the finish. Just fun to watch. Classic UND go for hockey.
For sure, for sure. You got one, Ian?
I would say you beat me to it. The 2012 Final Five.
Hmm.
We have four shots on goal, I think, through the first two periods or something. And right at the end, I think it's Brock Nelson gets one to fire everybody
Forbert.
up, and we come out in the Forbert. That's right. But yeah, you have this re-inspired life, and like you said, I think a lot of fans were going into that expecting to lose, and all of a sudden, here we are. We're back in the game. It's 3-3, and then they, three more back to back to back to put it
Hmm.
away. I think
Hmm.
that's a classic one. Like Lincoln said, 2014 Frozen Four. I would say the 2022 Saturday night game in the Mariucci was another classic. You
That one
had
was really good.
you had this North Dakota team that was, I would say pretty disappointing by year end, and you had this Gopher team that was just loaded to the nines with studs. I mean, they have how many NHLers that are, pretty decent, probably
Like
four or five or
five.
six.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we
Yeah,
go in
we're
there and
pretty
it's
deep.
completely outmatched and we pull it off to win the game the second night in overtime.
Yeah, who threw that stick? Don't tell me. Oh man.
Pitlick.
Pitlick,
Yeah.
yeah.
Was it Rem Pitlick?
Rhett,
Rhett? Okay.
yeah.
There's Rem and Rhett, right? I'm not dumb here,
Yeah,
right?
Rem's the older one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rhett threw that stick and I remember what, dude. Lincoln, we were
Second
there
period
right next to each
deflection
other.
goal. Man.
Hmm.
I think I still have the parking pass ticket for the I think did we roll into Canes that night before we went to the game? Or maybe that
Yeah.
was Friday. But that was a golden game. I mean, oh, oh yeah. That was a great game. For lack of a better, I can't think of a better, like a more close game where it was just really close and you're glued the entire time. There's a lot of events that happen. That 2023 game that you guys are just talking about, that hits the points like everywhere. That 2012 game is really good, but it's one-sided. Like Gophers all in the first half of the game,
Yep.
and then UND all the second half of the game. It wasn't fighting going back and forth. So because in that 2023 game, obviously Minnesota comes out to I want to say like a 2-0, 3-0 lead, 2-0 lead probably. Throws a stick. We score four unanswered goals, I want to say. Minnesota gets one back before the end of the second, gets one back in the third to tie it, and then we go to overtime and Markson and puts it in on the goal line. So again, that one was great. Yeah, I would say that those are all on the money. I really hope I don't listen back to this episode and be like, "Damn it, bro, you should have said that one. Why didn't you say that one?" But um, yeah, anyone uh Ian, what were you saying about this weekend about the tents? A certain animal will make an appearance. What have you been hearing?
Yeah, for I'm sure pretty much everybody that's listening to this knows, but I would say probably expect to see some tents outside their Ralph at about 4 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Probably even earlier. You're gonna have a lot of people camping out for that game. I was there camping out 2 years
Mm-hmm.
ago. We got there at 4:30 in the morning, and we're probably, all the way back to the Midco truck.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's people are juiced. I've
Lincoln took
heard
a shift.
rumblings. Yeah, sat in that lawn chair. It was a nice cold morning. I was on 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've heard a little rumblings about a couple buddies that may have a little something with some dead gophers in their pockets walking into the Ralph. So thank God they don't have metal detectors anymore. But we'll see. This is all just a rumor for legal
Yeah.
purposes.
Hope
Allegedly.
hopefully, yeah, this is all alleged. This is all hypothetical. Hopefully Jody Hodgson doesn't do a little pat down on the way in for the kids there. I don't want Jody Hodgson to just fucking gatekeep and ruin it. But um yeah, I mean, anything else on the series that you guys want to get in or just put in before we move on past the Gopher series? Anything else at all? What do you guys think of the Gopher goaltending? I wasn't super impressed. I mean, what is he? He's a transfer from somewhere else. I can't remember where right now. Is it his name Airy or something like that?
Yeah, I think he's good. I mean, he can get hot. They're UND just gonna have to play good as they would against anyone. So I Nathan Aries, he's a good goalie, but he's beatable.
For sure. He's got yeah, he's got a 924 right now.
Hmm.
One win, 2.286 goals against average. Um, you know. Yeah, I think that it'll be an interesting series for sure. There's going to be a lot of beer sales. It's going to be a great weekend for the local economy, I would say. Uh, Ian, are you going to be boots on the ground this weekend?
I am boots on the ground. I wanted to surprise my dad with some tickets. I don't think he's been up to the Ralph for a Gopher game, and probably since Saint or not Saint Holy Cross. And yeah, I think
He
we
hasn't
got
been
some
up here
seats from
since
a.
2006.
I don't think. Well, he hasn't been up for Sioux Gophers. He's been
Okay.
up to the Ralph, but not for
Okay.
that. It's a lucrative ticket, as we all know.
Hmm.
But I know a guy in town that knew a season ticket holder, and we're going to be sitting second row right behind the opposing goalie both nights. So be a lot of chirping going on. I actually have these bad boys, which I don't know if any of you have seen these before.
Oh,
These
I've
are
seen
like a
you wear that
fuzzy
black
hat.
one. You wear the black one all
Yeah,
the time, didn't you?
I wore this one all the time. I found this one on Facebook
Hmm.
Marketplace when I first got to the cities.
Oh
It's a
shit.
fuzzy hat that serves as a Sioux
Very
helmet. So
nice.
if you catch a close up behind the goalie Friday or
Yeah.
Saturday, you'll see two idiots wearing those.
Very nice. Yeah, I'll have to see where you're at and say hi. Let's just, piggybacking off that, let's do something a little bit more fun. Does anyone have their game day fit figured out? What are you wearing? What is the move? Ian, what are you wearing for, did you figure out your jersey situation yet?
That's tough. I'm fortunate enough, my dad from going to the school, we have all three of the glossy jerseys, so white, green, and black. I
Yep.
have my own white, non-shiny, from that same era. I got a couple Nodak jerseys and then, the brand new white one, but it's all Sioux this weekend. We're not breaking out the chicken hawk. We're going full Sioux, and I hope the rest of the section, with the students and even the stadium, I hope it's all Sioux.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Lincoln, what do you got, buddy? Figured out
Uh,
yet?
I haven't really thought about it, but yeah, you gotta wear the Sioux logo. I mean,
How many do you
that's not
got?
even
I know you got,
that's not even a question. I'm wearing the Sioux logo. Yeah, you don't even have to ask.
yeah. Um, Yeah, I'm definitely wear the Sioux crest. It's just a matter of which one. I don't really wear my silky white Tays anymore. It doesn't fit. I love it. I love the jersey to death. I'd rather not wear it and not risk ruining it than wear it, and it's just it's just a weird fitting jersey on me. It doesn't fit like it fits me well, but it's just like kind of bigger than a regular XL. It says XL on it, but I bet it's like a double X. But I probably will wear either my white Brock Nelson Frozen Four jersey or maybe the black 2011 Connor Garter jersey from that era. I guess he'd maybe be more 2012, 2013, 2012. No, 2013 Sioux jersey, but no, I think it is 2011 because no, it's not. Yeah, it is. It's got the green letter. No, that's the green. Okay,
One
never
of
mind.
those years.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yep.
Um, yeah, one of those. You just like you guys said, you just can't go with North Dakota Postal Service jersey this weekend. It just can't happen. You'd be doing a disservice to the university and the program if you wear anything but a Sioux jersey this weekend. Um, yeah, I mean, it'll be a lot of fun. Hopefully it's not too cold for the people that are tenting out. Are you going to be in the tents at all, Ian?
I don't know. I'll be driving up Friday. Um, I would say I'll probably swing by,
What's your
um,
ETA? You know yet?
crack a couple.
What's the
Friday, I
goal?
should be getting there. I would say around 1:30 into town.
Oh,
I'm
that's
going
you're
to pick up
chilling.
a Yeah, I'm
You're
going to pick up a
chilling.
parking pass and then grab my dad from the airport, and then we're gonna hit a little red pepper, and we'll get over to the game. So, gonna get a lot of Ralpharitas, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. Uh Zach Erickson, like you were talking about before, he works next to me. Um, he sits next to me. I was telling him that I'm taking off work at noon on Friday. So my family's coming to town and I mean, I just want to have more time to prepare because last weekend on Friday I got off at 5 and was kind of a shit show. I had to rush and take a shower and make some bevs before. I mean, I didn't get to the game until 20 minutes before puck drop. So trying to give myself a little bit more time to prepare and really just ease into the weekend, if you will. Get
Student days
ready
are
and
over. We can't be
yeah, you
can't be
can't
pissed drunk
be.
at 1:30.
Yeah, for sure. Not for Lincoln though. Lincoln, what is your plan, buddy? What are you gonna do? Any
Um,
plans?
yeah, so Friday, class with Schloss. Actually, Alex Heinert's coming to speak, so
Ooh,
be there
That'll be
for
fun.
that. Do my little TAing. I don't do anything, but nah. Yeah, I actually haven't tented in like a year or been out just because of NDI, so I usually have my grandfather's tickets. But I
Mhm.
think this is going to be like the first weekend where I actually do it. So I'm probably going to run a little shifts, then probably just drink some beer. So I don't know.
You trying to get a morning shift or early
I'm
afternoon
probably gonna do it
shift or
right
what?
before I go to Schloss's class at like 11:30 maybe. And then I can come back to our apartment, just I don't know,
Yeah,
chill
it's pretty
around.
close. I mean, you just gotta
Yeah,
walk
no,
over,
we can
so.
walk there. We're there in 2 minutes. So yeah,
Yeah, I was really happy to have done my time serving the line a little bit
Yep,
earlier. I'm 2 years older than Lincoln, and I'm 3 years older than you, Ian. Or no, I'm 2 years. Am I 2 years older than you?
I think so. You were
Well, you
maybe a
graduated high
class
school in
above me.
2022.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm 2 years in age older than you and Lincoln. Then you guys are the same age, but uh, that 2 years ago when they did it, I didn't do a shift. I don't think in the tent. I think I just came earlier in the day, which I had done all throughout my first couple years. But it was a cold one, wasn't it? I mean, it was how cold was it that series?
I don't think it was too bad. I know the one right after it,
It
the
was just
BU
early.
series was pretty chilly because we had
yeah.
gotten
Oh
that
yeah,
blizzard right after. But I looked at the weather. It looks like it's going to be, 50s, 60s. So, I mean, pretty ideal hockey
that's
weather.
perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, I mean, can't talk about it enough. I mean, it's gonna be a great weekend, fellas. Like we're gonna have to get after it. Boots are gonna be on ground. Gonna put away the Morgan diets. It's gonna be flowing. The beers are gonna be flowing. Whatever you're into. Make sure to tip generously, fellas. It's gonna be a good
Yeah,
weekend.
that Joe Black's post sweep on
Oh
Saturday
yeah.
night and that might be bumping.
Oh
Dude, I
yeah.
have to take it easier. Jesus, after Friday night's victory, I do not remember a lot of the rest of the evening. So, gonna have to take it easier if I want to rally on Saturday for sure and be in a good state of mind. Um, I'm gonna skip the vent line. For those listening who are wondering about it, I kind of forgot to do it last week. We had responses, and I'm happy we had responses. That's my fault for not getting on it, but we're gonna do some for this weekend. So if you're listening, tune into. I think I'll put a poll out on our Twitter, or hell, I might even try and put it on the podcast so you can add polls to it. So if I can find a way to do it that way, I'll do that, and I'll do Twitter, and I'll do Instagram story. So keep an eye out on all those avenues. If you want to say something in the event line again, if you didn't see the story before and don't know what the event line is, basically you can add your thoughts, negative or positive, about UND in the game or the series or in general. We just want to hear some feedback on your guys' thoughts on the team, and we can discuss it and review what you guys said on the pod. Most podcasts see this happen on, they have a live caller in. We don't have that technology yet. We're kind of living in the stone age right now, in terms of the setup. We're trying to get there though, and it all happens thanks to you guys who listen to these videos. So we appreciate it. Again, if you have anything you want to say, and you can put in there that you don't want me to say your name. That's fine if you're just worried about being exposed. Don't worry about being exposed. Just say what you want to say, and we're more than happy to feature it on the podcast. But until then, we're going to go into our quick hits, and then we're going to wrap things up here because it's been a little while. I'm happy it's been a little while. We need a good long episode in there for those blue collar fellas or white collar fellas who just want something to listen to. Um, I'll start out with what I got here, and then you guys can add on and build off of whatever you guys got. Right now, I got Shane Pinto, extremely hot start in the NHL. He was leading the team for the Senators through the first two games. Still think leading through 3 games. He had in the first 2 games he had 4 goals and an assist. Great for fantasy last week. He really helped me contribute to to my fantasy team. But Ottawa didn't do anything on their game in the middle of the fucking day on Monday yesterday. They played at noon Central Standard Time,
Jeez.
and they fucking lost because it was Canadian Thanksgiving. Um, to the Nashville Predators. So whatever. And then one other thing on here, Miami out to a 4-0 start. What a start for Miami, the Red Hawks. Coming off of a season, last couple seasons where they've really struggled. Lincoln, do you want anything to add anything to that? I mean,
Uh, no,
I know
good for them.
you're kind of zoning out here.
Yeah, they had
So
more. Miami had more wins right now than I think they did all of last year. This isn't hockey
Yep.
related, but Saturday, if you're not doing anything, UND football has a big game against Southern Illinois, 2 o'clock. So at Southern
yeah,
Illinois, tune into that because UND football is rolling right now. They get hot at the right time. I mean, Schmidt's turned the
great
program
plug.
around, so non-hockey related, but that's another. If you're into football, need something else to watch during the day while you're pre-gaming, watch that.
Great plug-in. Great pull from Lincoln there. Yeah, they're looking good. UND football looking good. New head coach this year, obviously. Uh, Jerry Jerry's looking great, slinging the ball. Two losses, one to a FBS school that we could have should have won, and then I think both the losses that we've had this year have been against teams that where you definitely could have won that game. But
Right.
so definitely, what I'm trying to get at there is definitely worth watching the matchup, worth watching the football team this year, and they're gonna have a pretty studly NDSU team coming in a couple weeks, so that'll be a fun one to watch too. But with that being said. We'll wrap things up here. Quickly, Ian, did you have anything you wanted to add to the quick hits, hockey or non-hockey related?
Yeah, just real quick. I mean, I would say keep an eye on what the rest of the teams are doing here in the NCAA. So you saw Western Michigan, you saw Boston, you saw a lot of teams that are supposed to be top three
Oh
teams take a
yeah,
loss to pretty bad
yeah,
squads this past week, and Michigan as well as a team that just looks like they might roll.
yeah. I was impressed with
We know the
them. Yeah,
stereotype around the Big Ten and their ability to win big games, but Michigan looks like a legit squad this year.
yeah, they look good. Scary. Usually I wouldn't be that high on them, but they're kind of scary right now. But yeah, it's a little small sample size, but definitely one you got to look out for. Anything else, fellas? Anything else at all? Anything else? All right. Well, with that being said, we'll wrap this episode up. Just want to take a second to thank all of you for listening. Uh, Appreciate it. Make sure to follow us on Instagram for the most up to date. That's where we're most active is on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. All of our plugs will be in the description of this video. Either whether you're watching on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, your ND Ice is available on all of those streaming platforms, whatever you want to listen to. Thank you again for listening. Uh, and tune in to next week. Hopefully, we should have Brad and the boys pretty soon. So. A special thanks to Ian. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's been a lot of fun.
Sweet. Well, we'll see you guys in the next one.